that people assume limitation. And we see this all the time. And I put it down not to ill will or, I mean, fear plays a large part, that's absolutely true, but lack of imagination as well. It's really difficult to imagine that disabled person in front of you in the interview room, if they were lucky enough to get that far, in the workplace and fitting in, and, you know, will the reasonable adjustments that have been recommended work in reality? Is it going to be too problematic, etc.? And obviously ClearKit is hugely beneficial in dispelling a lot of that fear and outlining what best practice is. But I've been asked to just give you a little bit of a personal but also a broader insight into how empowering this sort of technology is for me, but for so many other people with disabilities as well. Back in the 80s, late 80s, when PCs really hit the scene, and they really opened so many doors for education, for employment, for people with, obviously without a disability, you know, because it really opened up so much working opportunities. Something like 90% of roles have a PC or a computer of some sort involved in them these days, so you can see the impact it's had. But particularly for disabled people, because I think, as we see here, we've got a keyboard, a mouse, a screen, and a box, but actually, as you, I'm sure, are aware, it's just the box that's the computer, and even these days the computer is sort of hidden in the screen, or wherever it is these days, it's, you know, dispensable. A Raspberry Pi is the size of a pen drive, for example. The screen and the keyboard and the mouse are what people imagine are necessary parts of a computer, and I'm sure we're all aware now of the plethora of different devices. I mean, I as a blind person can't use the screen. I rely on speech output. I can't use a mouse because I can't see the pointer on the screen. I do use a keyboard, but I also use voice recognition, for example. So, you know, we really need to, and hopefully we have, gone quite a long way away from thinking that this is what a computer is, and, you know, imagining that somebody that can't use one of those components can't use a computer. So we really want people to get this message loud and clear, that disabled people have a huge amount to offer if they're given the right adaptations, the right reasonable adjustments. This is what we're seeing increasingly, a trend towards things having inclusivity built in. There is no better example of an inclusive device, a device that demonstrates digital inclusion to an extremely high degree than Apple devices, and in particular iOS devices. So here's an iPhone. The level of thought that's gone into these devices, you know, they might have thought, well, touchscreen, blind people, we're not going to be able to cater for them. But obviously they have done. They've built in speech that enables us to access every corner of the device. But not only that, they've done really thoughtful things like build in this screen curtain, which I've now doubled my battery life just from turning the screen off, basically, and I don't need the screen. One that I will show you that is hugely useful is using the camera for image recognition. So think of the camera as your replacement eyes, and for it to be able to recognize objects, scan barcodes, tell you what it is, tell you how many calories, tell you where to buy it cheaper around the corner. But there's one thing.
App switcher, cat mail, money reader.
So there's one called Money Reader here, for example.
Money reader. Money reader running.
Money reader running. Now, how useful is it, obviously, for someone who's blind? I just came on the cab today to be able to tell what notes you've got before you hand them over to the cabbie. So I've got a couple of notes here. Let's see.
£20.
Okay, so you just hold it underneath.
£20.
And it'll tell you what it is. So that's the power of this technology. There isn't a camera in the iPhone for disabled people. Absolutely not. It's so that people can take photographs. There isn't speech built in necessarily for people with a vision impairment. It's so that people can have their emails read to them while they're jogging, or so that they can send tweets in their car by voice and have them read back to them. So there are so many uses in this mainstream technology that it's all about inclusive design. What's good for people with an impairment will also have benefits for able-bodied people without an impairment or without an impairment yet.